Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Mother-in-Laws from Hell and it's by user Sid1841. My mother-in-law has a plan to take my unborn child. I'm due with my first baby in about 2 months and I'm feeling extremely uneasy about my mother-in-law being around us once she's born. I hope y'all are ready for this. When we first told her I was pregnant, she was overjoyed, crying tears of happiness. Not long after, we moved into a new place and she came to help. She asked to stay for a night or two and ended up staying 2 months straight without even asking. She basically lived on our couch. As many of you know, those first weeks of pregnancy are tough. Mood swings, exhaustion, hormones. I'll admit, my patience was thin. But she pushed every button. 2 days before my birthday, she completely lost it on me, calling me names, accusing me of trapping her son, telling me to go F myself. We kicked her out, only for her to show up again uninvited on my birthday, refusing to apologize. Instead, she told me she doesn't apologize to see you next Tuesdays and only makes improvements through actions. Against my better judgment, I gave her another chance because the idea of her being cut off from my baby caused a lot of tension with my husband. Since then, she's constantly referred to my unborn child as her baby, which has always made me uncomfortable. Recently, my brother-in-law's girlfriend told me just how far things have gone. My mother-in-law has been talking badly about me for months, even secretly filming me in my own home and twisting it to make me look bad. She called me a thief for moving cash from our desk to deposit into our shared account. Worse, she's been telling people that my child is hers. The most disturbing part? My brother-in-law's girlfriend told me that my mother-in-law has an actual plan to try to take custody of my baby. According to her, my mother-in-law intends to create a situation that would drive me away from my husband, leaving my baby behind. She would then try to make my husband look unfit to parent as well, giving her a path to go to court for custody. I can't describe how terrifying this feels as a first-time mom. I don't want her anywhere near my baby. I don't even trust her to hold her because in the back of my mind, I fear she might harm her. The problem is, my husband and his brother are used to her behavior. She's acted like this their whole lives, and they tend to soften and forgive, which lets her keep doing these things without consequence. That makes it hard for me to draw a firm line, especially since it's his mother. I don't know what the right next step is, but what I do know is my priority is protecting my baby, and right now, I don't feel safe with her anywhere near us. Willoughby, you're absolutely right. Your priority should be protecting your baby, and so should your husband's. Both of you need to do that, and if he fails at that, then he's also failing you as a partner. So here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. I would sit your husband down with your sister-in-law and tell him what's going on. Everything, the whole plan, and then you tell him that you do not feel safe with his mother around. That she is simply not welcomed anymore in your home or anywhere near your baby. After this conversation, you need to see how your husband reacts, if he stands to defend you or his mother. And based on that, you see what you need to do next. If he chooses his mother, then you need to start getting your ducks in a row in case you need to move quickly. Because the priority remains the same. You protect the child. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section. And now let's move on to the community comments. Red Fancy Dress says, she's going to drive you insane and then swoop in and rescue the baby from her mentally ill mother. You must take action even if your husband is too weak to. Can you move in with your own family? Tell your husband the visits involving his mother are done? She cannot come to your home ever again. She is not welcome at the hospital or to even meet the baby. Please take her seriously. Your husband is too weak to handle this. And Dopey responds, before we even knew about this, we have made an agreement that she will have no knowledge of which hospital I will be giving birth at, nor will she know when I go into labor. So far, we have agreed that he will handle her. We are on the same page about everything, and that he will respect my wishes and concerns regarding her being around my baby. Thousand That Biatch says, the next step is a protective order against her if your jurisdiction allows. Tell your husband that the threats are a real concern and you no longer feel safe in your own home when she is around. Until she can respect you and your boundaries, she should have zero access to you or your child. Apart Locksmith 1 says, can you move in with your parents or a sibling? Put as much distance as possible between you and your mother-in-law. Bring baby home to said parents' siblings' house once born. Document everything. Install cameras inside and outside your house and don't tell her. That way, if you stay for a while or return, you have recordings of mother-in-law too. And Opie responds, my parents unfortunately live in another state and I am far too pregnant to pack up and travel so far away and even find a new doctor who will take me this late. My husband and I did just move into a new place and the plan now is that she will be given no knowledge of where exactly our new house is or the area. Tall Occasion 4453 says, so your mother-in-law threatening to take your child away from you and your husband? They should never ever have access to you and your child. She is dangerous. And if your husband doesn't want to cut her off completely and permanently, then you actually need to leave him and go stay somewhere where you have support. Also, you need to contact a lawyer and try to get an order of protection from her. Please take this seriously. And Reasonable Bad 769 says, you need to get ahead of this. Have your sister-in-law state everything mother-in-law has said, done, plans to do in writing. Then contact CPS and get it on record with them. I'd also make a police report. Neither CPS or the police will do something. This is about documenting her plan before she implements it, which ruins her credibility. I'd also consider ending your relationship with your boyfriend if he can't see how messed up his mom is with this plan. The only action or response to this behavior is no contact. I'd also start a binder of all the unhinged things mother-in-law has done. Staying for 2 months, name-calling, trashing you behind your back, her plan to try and get custody of your baby, and every interaction with her moving forward. Include as much detail, names of those who told you, dates, everything. Tell no one, especially your boyfriend, and keep it hidden. All good lawyers, cops, CPS will always stress the importance of documenting. This is insane, and I'd also be scared if I were you. I wouldn't let mother-in-law near my child. You threatened to get my child taken away by fabricating lies so you can take custody? Scorched earth right there. Alright, the community agrees. OP needs to protect her child at all costs. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. A couple of weeks ago, I shared a post about my mother-in-law's alarming plan to take my baby, whether through fighting for custody or even kidnapping once she's born. I wanted to share an update and thank everyone who offered advice. I took every bit of it seriously and have put those suggestions into action. I contacted CPS and made a report detailing her plan to frame me as an unfit mother in an attempt to gain custody. My husband and I also called her to confront her about what we knew. She immediately went into denial, screaming, crying, and insisting she'd never do something like that, while heavily guilt-tripping my husband. By the end of her tantrum, she had managed to tug at his emotions, but I stayed firm. Afterward, she blocked me on social media, and I blocked her as well. I don't want her having any access to me or my baby, even through photos or posts. So far, my husband agreed to honor my boundaries and keep her completely away from our child. However, today something happened that really shook my confidence in that promise. He came home about an hour late from work with a gift bag, a smile, and handed me $100 in cash. Turns out, he met up with his mother on his way home. She gave him a baby shower gift since I will not allow her to be at our baby shower. A card addressed to my baby too. That specific phrase was something I had already told him makes me extremely uncomfortable, as she's repeatedly referred to my daughter as her baby. He brushed it off, saying I was overreacting and that it was a nice gesture. Mind you, I have been asking him for the last couple of weeks if he has heard from his mother, to which his answer was always no. It got worse. Inside the card was $200. He told me that he had an extra 100 in his wallet. I asked to see it, and he refused. Turns out, she gave him $1,000 in cash and told him not to tell me how much it was, and if he had to make it seem like a much smaller amount. When I asked to see the money, he refused at first and only admitted the truth after I kept pressing. So now, after everything we agreed on, it feels like she's buying her way back into his good graces and he's letting her. I told him that she is manipulating him to allow herself back into our lives. His response was, "That's not a very nice thing to say." I'm heartbroken and frustrated. I hate that it feels like it's them versus me right now, especially at such a vulnerable time in my pregnancy. But I want to be clear, my stance hasn't changed. My mother-in-law will not be allowed around my baby, period. Wow, OP, I am so sorry your husband is so weak. I guess now you know your answer and you need to start getting to work because, as you say, stay strong, your mother-in-law will not be around your baby. And here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user OKSelection3777. Am I the A-hole for refusing to invite my parents to my wedding after 14 years of no contact? I haven't been in contact with my parents since I was 14 years old. The story behind it is long and boring, but I will simplify it. My parents divorced when I was 14 after my dad caught my mom cheating, and the divorce was extremely messy and hostile. The only thing they had in common was that they didn't want to have anything to do with me. I never understood why, and they never told me, so I went to stay with my grandparents. I tried for a year to contact them, but they completely ignored me, so I caught contact with them. Fast forward to a few days ago, and somehow they showed up again for my wedding. I'm getting married in 4 days, and I'm already stressed enough for the big day because everything must be perfect. And they decided to barge in out of the blue. For my wedding, obviously, I invited my grandparents, my aunt and uncle, my cousin and her 2 little daughters, and my friends. I invited everyone but them, and they decided to step in a week before the wedding, not asking, but pretending to be there just for some photos. This is the most ridiculous part. They don't want to be there for the whole ceremony and the day, but just for the photos, and then they would go away. I obviously ignored their texts and calls because there's no reason I would ever think of having them at my special day. But the thing is that my family knows how my parents were completely absent until now. According to them, this is their way to try to make amends and a way for them to ask for forgiveness. I obviously don't believe this BS because to me, it's very simple. They just want to show up for the image of the perfect family and then disappear. But obviously, I'm not exactly in the mood for any drama and BS. My girlfriend, my friends, and most of all my grandparents are on my side, and they keep telling me that they never showed up for me in 14 years and they are doing it now just for the image. Obviously, there is still that little part of me who has spent years crying because I missed them and never had any answer on why, from the divorce on, they completely ignored me. So, for how crazy it might sound, they actually succeeded in planting the doubt in my mind. I know rationally that I shouldn't cave. But that little part of that abandoned kid wants to have closure with them and have answers. So, am I the a-hole? Should I give him a chance or should I ignore them like I did? Well, OP, first of all, both of your parents failed at parenting and they suck. Having said that, I see it that you have 2 options. 1, you can have them at your wedding if you want to, but only after they answer all your questions if you have any. The other option is to just ignore them and tell them to not even try to get close because security will put their ass where it belongs. And to all those family members saying that this is their way to make amends and a way for them to ask for forgiveness, I would say, really? Because the way I know to make amends and ask for forgiveness is to actually say, I'm sorry, can you forgive me? Can I try to make this better? What should I do? Anything else is a waste of time. So you get to decide, OP. If I was in your shoes, I would tell them nothing. I just block them. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Godiva Playsto says, bad parents don't deserve photos. After the honeymoon, you can think about whether you want to have a conversation with them or not. Right now, you have much better things upon which to dwell. Confetti. Although I am curious, if their divorce was so nasty, why are they suddenly united 14 years later to crash your wedding uninvited and unwelcome? Never mind, doesn't matter. Focus on your love, your celebration, and your future. Congratulations, I wish you and your chosen family every happiness. Confetti! Edited to add, not the a-hole. The Nothing P3 says, of course not the a-hole, but if your parents truly want to make amends, they can start with an apology and no photo ops. It looks like they just want to be in your wedding photos to project a relationship that they obviously don't have with you. Decide if you want to try again and give them clear rules to follow. If you just let them steamroll you, they'll feel entitled to your new family as well. ACM 915 says, not the a-hole, hell no. You are absolutely correct when you say they're only there to get some photos so they can try and brag to whatever friends they have that they were these wonderful parents when even their friends have to know that they're not. You do not need to indulge their fantasies and allow them to ruin your wedding. Either hire security or have a couple friends stand by to not let them in the church or in the reception hall. And Ambitious Papaya 114 says, not the a-hole. If they truly wanted a second chance and gave a crap about you, they wouldn't choose the week of your wedding to step in. And if in some twisted way they think this was the time, they would ask to attend the ceremony and say no photos are necessary. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I will start by saying that my parents won't come to my wedding. I arrived to this conclusion after talking a lot with my grandparents, and they finally convinced me to open my eyes and to not let that little kid who wants his parents back kick in. I had a pretty big argument with my parents, and honestly, I thought, I should feel bad, have remorse and all this stuff, but honestly I don't. They even tried the pathetic move to talk sense into me by my fiance, but she already knew everything, so she simply told them to go to hell. I paid a bit more for extra security since I'm getting married in 2 days, and I don't want any scene or drama or anything, and that's it. Right now, I just hope that my parents wouldn't try something crazy at my wedding day, so I will wait and see. And that's all we know. OP did not write any comments or any updates, which makes me think the wedding went just fine. So here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Alien Anima Released. IT wanted process over results. I gave them process and panic. A couple of years ago, I got shuffled out of the business side and into IT during a reorganization. The official reason was better alignment with software delivery. The real reason? I'm expensive and don't do sales and IT has a bigger budget. Also, and this is educated speculation, I kept not approving IT's builds for not meeting specs, which apparently makes me difficult and not solution-oriented. So now I report to the executive I had previously challenged over the quality of his team's work. Since joining IT, everything has to be a ticket. Doesn't matter if it's a question, a clarification, or divine revelation. No ticket, no work. Product managers handle ticket creation and prioritization, which sounds fine in theory, except my actual job is to consult with business analysts and developers. I know more about the rules, regulations, and use cases of our software than anyone in the company, and my work doesn't easily fall into a ticket as it's more of a problem-solving role for existing tickets. Still, no ticket, no work. Bureaucracy over brains. Clients, especially senior ones, tend to reach out to me directly because I can actually answer their questions. Normally, I'd just respond and, if needed, make a ticket afterward for tracking, but management didn't like that. After one particularly spirited discussion over delays to close low-priority tickets in lieu of responding to high-priority client mails, my boss told me to stop responding to client emails altogether. I was to forward them to product managers who would create, prioritize, and assign tickets. I explained patiently that these emails often come from executives and need quick turnaround. Boss's response? Follow the process or we won't know how overworked you are. Okay then, boss, let's follow the process. A week later, I get an email from the CFO of one of our biggest clients asking for details about a customized build. Normally, I'd get an estimate out in a couple of hours. Instead, I CC'd my boss and product manager, confirmed I'd received the request, and politely asked them to create and assign a ticket. A few days later, the CFO followed up, "We need this by Friday." I replied again, CCing everyone, apologizing for the delay and asking that the assigned resource take note of the urgency, knowing full well no one had assigned the ticket. Behind the scenes, I had already done the estimate and informed the client what was happening. Spoiler, nothing. Suddenly, my boss is frantically pinging me. "Why haven't you gotten back to the CFO?" I calmly reminded him he told me to only work on assigned tickets. 2. He was CC'd on every email. 3. He'd have to ask the product manager for a status update. There was a long, delicious silence before he finally replied, "Okay, you don't need a ticket for everything. In the future, if it's from an executive, just respond and make a ticket afterward." Sure thing, boss. Glad we cleared that up. I sent the estimate, everyone was happy, and peace was restored. And better yet, management now puts results over process. I guess it's never too late to get taken to school, and you did just that, OP. Good for you. Thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.